Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're embarking on, well, quite an intriguing journey. We're looking into unexplained aerial phenomena.
Right.
And specifically, we're focusing on this recurring mystery. These objects, consistently described as cigar-shaped.
Yeah. And we've gathered a really fascinating collection of sources, haven't we? From
Yeah.
viral stuff, photos, even satellite images, and historical records, too.
Yeah.
And our mission, really, for this deep dive is to unpack all of that. We want to pull out the most important bits of information.
Kind of challenge some assumptions.
Exactly. And help you figure out what's really significant without getting sort of buried in all the data out there.
Absolutely. Okay, so to kick things off, let's start with a very recent event. A widely reported mass sighting over Florida that started strange and then, well, it get even weirder.
Right.
So just imagine this. A huge fireball seen basically across the entire state of Florida, Key West up to the Panhandle.
Wow.
Witnesses said it was completely lighting up entire neighborhoods. Huge.
So initial thoughts, probably a meteor, right?
That was the first reaction, yeah.
Mhm.
But lots of witnesses felt something was off. Just didn't seem like a typical meteor.
And interestingly, even a meteorologist from WWSB TV in Sarasota, he actually commented on it.
Oh, really? What did he say?
Said it looked as bright as the sun. And he even heard a little rumbling after it faded away.
The rumbling is interesting.
It is. But despite that, the official government response came pretty quick. Nothing more than a small meteor. Case closed, essentially.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, as you said. The story didn't end there. This bombshell photograph went viral.
Ah, yes, the photo. That definitely changed the conversation.
Tell us about it. Where did it come from?
Okay, so it was submitted to MUON, the Mutual UFO Network.
Right, the big civilian org.
Yeah. And from there, it just spread like wildfire. File sharing sites, email chains. It was taken by a resident in Northport, Florida. He was just in his backyard with friends.
And he caught what? The fireball itself?
He caught the fireball, yes, described as a green glowing object. But that wasn't the shocking part.
Go on.
When people looked closely at the photo, really looked like, there was something else there. An unknown object moving just above the fireball.
Above it?
Yes. Almost looking like it might be, well, the source. Like it could possibly be dropping this thing.
Whoa. Okay. Dropping it.
That's what some interpretations suggest. And the photographer was adamant. He said it was definitely in the sky. Not a reflection, not part of any streetlights, lamps, or houses.
Did he have any other context?
He did mention, actually, that he personally felt he'd been seeing a lot of green fireballs that year. And he was suspicious, because the official story was always meteors. He suspected a potential cover-up.
Okay, so this object above the fireball.
Yeah.
What did it look like in the photo? Especially when people started enhancing it.
Right. So when you play with the image, invert the colors, adjust contrast and brightness, this other shape becomes clearer. It's elongated, cylindrical, basically a classic cigar-shaped UFO.
And it didn't look like, say, a plane or a bird caught in the frame.
No, according to the analysis, it really doesn't look anything man-made in the conventional sense, and certainly not a bird. It's spooky, frankly.
Yeah.
Seeing this specific known type of object, the cigar shape, appearing so conveniently, you could say, and eerily, right as this fireball event is happening.
So what does this all mean then? What are the big questions this sighting raises?
Well, several big ones. Was the fireball really just a meteor, given this other object? How is that cigar-shaped object linked to it? Was it dropped like some speculate? Or was the UFO just observing, maybe interacting in some way we don't understand? But the key takeaway, I think, is that the photographic proof suggests the object was there, right then.
It really makes you think twice about just accepting the initial government explanation, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Okay, let's broaden our view now. That Florida incident is compelling, but you mentioned other sources. There was another breaking report pretty recently too, right? Also involving a cigar shape. That's right. Very different context this time, though. This was captured by NASA's SOHO satellite.
The Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, way out in space.
Exactly. On November 18th, it captured an object flying near both the sun and the planet Venus.
And what did that look like?
Well, it was in the frame with the sun and Venus visible for just 1 second. It appeared. Then in the very next frame from SOHO, it was gone.
1 second. So incredibly fast, whatever it was.
Extremely fast. And the description, again, another one of these cylindrical cigar-shaped objects.
Wow. Okay, so we have one potentially dropping something or observing something in Florida's atmosphere, and another one zipping past the sun and Venus. What about size or distance on that SO1?
That's the tricky part with space sightings like this. There's no real reference point for scale. It could be very close to the satellite, maybe, hundreds of feet long,
Uh,
or it could be much further away, and in that case, it could be miles in length. We can't tell from that single image capture.
Right, that scale ambiguity is always a challenge.
Hmm.
So this raises a big question for me. We have these two recent reports. Florida, near the sun. Is this a new thing? Or are these sightings part of maybe a larger pattern we haven't fully recognized?
Now that's where it gets really fascinating because no, this isn't new at all. There's actually a significant documented history of these cigar-shaped UFOs.
Really? How far back are we talking?
We're talking witnesses seeing these things since before we even had a name for them, before UFO was even a term, and they've been seen all over the world, and interestingly, as some sources suggest, maybe even on or around other planets.
Okay, give us some examples. You mentioned historical records earlier.
Sure. Well, there's a very famous image, or rather two photographs taken way back on March 20th, 1950, over New York City.
1950. Okay.
Cigar shape.
Definitely described that way. And what's intriguing about that case, the photographer's name was apparently deleted from the Project Blue Book files.
The Air Force investigation files.
Deleted.
Yeah. And Project Grudge, which came before Blue Book, their official explanation for the photo was simply the moon.
The moon. Did it look like the moon?
The reports and photos suggest probably not. It makes you question, how quickly official explanations were sometimes reached, even with photographic evidence pointing somewhere else.
Okay, so these have been seen for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
How does this connect to current theories about UFOs or UAPs?
Well, a lot of researchers in this field theorize that these specific shapes, the tubular, the cylinder, the cigar, may be some sort of mothership.
A mothership, meaning?
Meaning a larger craft purportedly capable of taking on and discharging smaller craft, like smaller probes or reconnaissance vehicles.
Wait, that ties directly back to the Florida sighting, potentially. The idea of something being dropped.
Exactly. It provides a theoretical framework, I suppose. And look, there's just an endless amount of photographs, relatively speaking, of these kinds of craft over different U.S. states, near volcanoes, which seem to be hotspots for some reason. The visual record is quite extensive.
Okay, this is really building a picture. You said these sightings go back even before 1950.
Oh, yeah. Get this. What some researchers consider the very first documented UFO sighting, meaning captured on film, was actually a cigar-shaped object.
The very first. When?
Photographed in the clouds above Mount Washington, New Hampshire, winter of 1870.
1870. Wow. That's long before airplanes, long before the whole idea of flying saucers entered the public consciousness in 47.
Precisely, which makes you wonder what on earth people back then would have even thought they were looking at. No frame of reference.
So it's not just photos then. The evidence includes other forms.
Definitely. Beyond photos, we have witness testimony, we have drawings, sketches, collected over decades, centuries even. And what's interesting is the variation within the cigar-shaped description.
How so?
Some reports describe them with lights, maybe visible compartments or windows, but others describe them as completely smooth, featureless, void of any detail, just these silent, elongated shapes.
And you mentioned sightings beyond Earth, too.
Yes, the reports aren't just confined to our atmosphere. Sources mention sightings outside of our planet, above our planet, in orbit, seen during various space shuttle missions, apparently.
Really? Astronaut sightings?
There are reports, yes. And also, objects captured on the International Space Station's cameras, sometimes seen lurking in the background, in the darkness of space.
Okay, so Earth's atmosphere, near-Earth orbit, deep space like this OHO sighting. Anywhere else?
Well, this is where it gets even more expansive. There's evidence suggesting their presence lingering and proliferating around other planets.
Other planets in our solar system.
Specifically, Saturn comes up. There are claims they've been photographed by our own probes near Saturn. There's even a book, The Ringmakers of Saturn, which specifically describes what it calls miles-long cigar-shaped motherships orbiting within Saturn's ring system.
Miles-long ships orbiting Saturn. That's quite a leap from a fireball over Florida.
It is, but the consistency in the description, this elongated cigar shape appearing across such vastly different contexts, from 1870 Mount Washington to 1950s New York to modern Florida to NASA cameras near the sun and potentially out to Saturn, that consistency is, well, it's remarkable. It suggests we might be looking at a singular, persistent phenomenon.
Okay. So for you, the listener, trying to make sense of all this information flying around, what's the big takeaway here? What does this pattern of cigar-shaped objects imply?
Well, I think when you consider the sheer diversity of the evidence, you've got amateur photos, you've got official NASA satellite captures, historical archives, probe images potentially, all showing this similar morphology.
From Florida skies to near the sun to maybe even Saturn.
Exactly, across vast distances and times. The consistent appearance and the reported behaviors like the potential dropping in Florida or the high speed near the sun, it really forces us to ask a pretty fundamental question. What does this imply about our actual understanding of unidentified aerial phenomena? And maybe even, the boundaries of our known reality.
Yeah.
What might still be out there, completely beyond our current grasp?
It definitely encourages critical thinking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not just, as you said earlier, simply buying into everything the government tells you or jumping to easy conclusions.
Absolutely. Assess the information, look at the patterns, consider the source diversity.
So as we start to wrap up this deep dive, we've really traced a fascinating thread, haven't we? We went from that baffling Florida fireball, possibly connected to this mysterious object, to that fleeting glimpse near our sun and Venus captured by a Soho,
Right.
and connected it all back through this surprisingly long and consistent documented history of cigar-shaped phenomena, spanning over 150 years potentially, and reaching from our own skies perhaps to the outer edges of the solar system.
It's quite a scope. And maybe a final thought for you to consider is this. If these specific cigar-shaped objects have been so consistently witnessed, photographed, and reported across such an incredible range of contexts,
Yeah.
from right here in our atmosphere to the deepest reaches we've probed and over such a significant period of time, what could the deeper implications be? Not just for UFO studies, but for our understanding of the universe, of physics, of, reality itself.
What might still be hiding in plain sight or just beyond our current ability to truly comprehend?
Exactly. Perhaps it's not just what we're seeing, but the sheer persistence, how long and where we've been seeing this specific shape that holds the most significant clues yet to be deciphered.